Well, hey, listen, it's a day that we've been waiting for. It's taken yourselves at least 24 weeks of hard work through a pandemic, and for us at the Automotive Parts Association of Canada, it's given us our project, our vehicle. So, hey, listen, a huge congratulations to the full review from Carleton University for being chosen as the final design, the design for Project Arrow. So, hats off to you, and but let everybody know who you guys are. Let go around and please do introduce yourselves.
Who wants to go first?
First guy.
Oh, you? You go ahead, Mina.
Sure. So first of all, thanks for the opportunity. It was really the biggest learning opportunity that I've ever been a part of, especially working through a pandemic. And we got so much support from so many people. It's been great in that sense. Me personally, my name is Mina. I'm technically a fourth year at Carleton University. I'm studying industrial design. And this was the first chance that we've ever had to design a vehicle. And I think we had a unique background that would allow us to offer some new insights into this kind of design. So yeah, it was really exciting from the start.
My name is Matthew Schuetz. I'm from Toronto, Ontario. I also am a part of Carleton Industrial Design. I just graduated in 2020. And yeah, this was actually an amazing opportunity for all of us. Coming from industrial design, we mainly work with products. To get a chance to really, spend a lot of time, 6 months to design a car. And I think we all, learned a fair bit and worked very hard, and it was a great experience.
My name's Kai. I'm from Ottawa, and I'm also a graduate of the industrial design program at Carleton. Me and Matt just finished our 4th year this past year, and this was kind of a project to cap that off. So it was really cool and interesting to get to work on a car, especially being industrial designers. We don't typically get to work on something of that kind of scale. So it was definitely a huge learning curve to kind of conceptualize this as just another product that we can tackle with our skills and expertise and stuff, and try to make something that's both accessible to most Canadians and beautiful at the same time. So I hope that we did a good job and everyone likes it.
Hi, my name is Jun-Won, and I'm from London, Ontario, and I am also a student from Carleton Industrial Design. I should be in 4th year, but taking a year off for an internship opportunity. And like Matt and Kai said, this is our first time working on transportation design, coming out of industrial design background, and it was really exciting because it was two most interesting topic, car and for Canada, and that's what made this project interesting.
And I'll be honest and frank. I was fortunate enough to be on the judging panel, and we had some global leaders in automotive sit on that panel. Ralph Gills himself from FCA, and the fact that you are all telling me that this is pretty much the first car you guys have designed. Some of the comments that came out of that judging panel was, this car is ready for production. One of the differentiators between yourselves and the other two runners-up, and don't get me wrong, it was very close. But one of the major factors was that your vehicle looked like it was ready for production. And to hear then it's your actual first attempt at designing a car. And then another comment from Ralph himself in phase 1 was, he expected this level of work to come out of his studio. So, accolade and Carleton University. I think they've done a great job. Tell me a little bit, any one of you, tell me a little bit about, this vehicle represents Canada. How does it represent Canada? How did you guys answer the brief to make this be talking and showcasing Canada?
I think when we first started, We began by asking, like, what does it actually mean to be Canadian? What we noticed was that there were a few Canadian values that were shared among all of us. The main one being freedom, freedom in diversity, but also freedom in the landscape. So that became a key kind of driving force throughout the whole project. And then when we kind of started looking for a formal language that would represent Canadian values, we used the Canadian landscape as inspiration. And basically, when we looked at some of the biggest Canadian landmarks, they all kind of consist of rock formations and ice formations. And so we kind of tried to translate that language into a sculptural language.
And I think that also, partly because of our Carleton education, we think about things from a usability standpoint and, trying to make things accessible for as many people as possible. So pretty much from stage one of this project, we were like looking at, how can we make a vehicle that fits the lifestyles of any Canadian as well as fit the terrain of Canada. That's in part why we chose the name Traction for our team, because we think that you got to have traction to be able to handle the Canadian climate as well as to get an idea moving. So we looked at how we could fit most families inside this car using the amount of space available in an SUV, as well as certain accessibility features for people with disabilities. So people who don't typically have access to driving a car, whether it could be from their limited mobility. Now that autonomous vehicles a possibility and a reality too, it really makes their expectations of driving a car a reality. So we found ways to like aid in wheelchair transfers into the car and designed a whole other micromobility aspect to the car to revolve around that, which I think we're all pretty proud of too.
And if I was to ask you, maybe June and Matthew, Canada, I think you guys have been able to capture it. Canada actually has a brand. If we were to go into production, were to suddenly see Canadian OEMs emerge, which is one of the aims of the APMA, just like Volvo from Sweden has a brand, would we feel strongly that Canada as well has a brand? And if there were vehicles manufactured by Canadian OEMs and sold globally, how well would they do and how well would they be accepted?
Pardon, what was that last little bit? Sorry, you kind of cut.
Sorry, how well would these vehicles, if they were developed as Canadian OEM vehicles, how well would they do and how well would they be accepted?
I think they'll be accepted well. One thing that I think that we really tried to sort of show through our car and the design language is that is sort of, well, one thing that we kind of thought about was what are other people's, like other countries' perception of Canada or Canadian people. And, I think that there'd be a stereotype, that we're, really nice and kind but kind of almost easy to push around, which to me is not the case. I think that just because you're, a considerate person does not mean that you're a pushover, and I think we kind of show that with our car is that maybe not everybody realizes how strong and, I don't want to use the word aggressive, but sort of like, I think our people almost mimic our landscape. Like we are extremely strong, we're diverse, we've, got a lot more to offer than maybe people realize. And I think that because Canada hasn't had a car company sort of on that stage is that we would really need to arrive with a big impact. And I think that the visuals of our car, as well as just the way we designed it with the user experience sort of perspective, that it's something new. And that's where Canada is, whether people know that or not, they will know when they see our car.
Right. Just capping off, some of your own thoughts. How have you felt through this whole period, which started, when COVID started, let's face it, and all of you worked diligently in groups or typically on your own using virtual technology. And now, you know, you're finished, but COVID hasn't gone away still. And we're now into fall. We're now, you know, into that kind of, you know, season which kind of, you know, introduces and welcomes winter. What have been some of your thoughts over the past few months as you've worked on this project, and what are some of your wants and asks, and what do you think, and what would you like to see coming from your design and Project Arrow?
I think, you know, we shaped the way we designed this car to an extent that it was almost entirely digital, which was great because we were working with Autodesk, which, you know, they developed digital technologies. So that partnership really kind of strengthened, I think, because of COVID, even though we weren't able to, you know, visit their tech centers and work directly with the staff there had COVID not been a thing. We definitely got, I think, a lot more exposure to their softwares and a lot of tech support through different channels that really kind of we had to adapt to. But I think it strengthened, in a way, the way we worked on this car, using like VR technologies, and then, you know, having meetups the same day that we'd create something, I think was really valuable, as opposed to scheduling a meeting to all get together one day of the week or something like that, if everyone was in town. So that definitely changed, you know, the way we worked on the car, and I think the way that the car turned out.
And your thoughts for Project Arrow? You know, this is an end of a phase for the project. There are 3 more phases to come. You're all aware your vehicle will be taken by the folks at Windsor ECDev and IBLS, and it will be converted into a full virtual reality vehicle, one-to-one scale. Those doors, suicide doors included, will be opening up. The tailgates will be opening up, and you'll get a full immersive experience of the vehicle. As the world continues to stay virtual for 2021, the APMA will be showcasing your vehicle at CES 2021, which normally happens in Vegas. It will be showcased at the Toronto, or should I say the Canadian Automotive International Auto Show in February, and so on. Like, you know, so the journey doesn't end. But is there anything and in any way you'd like to kind of, you know, finish this chapter off?
Well, I think Project Arrow is really happening at the right time, because what happened is that for past decades or past 150 years, everything has been gasoline cars, and then gasoline powered, some diesels, but some type of fossil fuels. And it was kind of hard for Canada to go into big markets. But as a trend changing to more zero emission vehicles or transportations, that there's a lot of small companies coming out all around the world. And I think it's the right timing for Canada to have this type of competition or project to step into a game where kind of everybody's starting at the same point now. Yes.
Great point.
Definitely really cool to see our work kind of reimagining the automotive field and pushing it forward in any way. Even if it's just in a Canadian context, we really are excited about this and hope to see that it, you know, production takes a global stance and we see this car anywhere.
Well, hey, let me just share my screen before we wrap. Can you all see your car?
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, this to me, so much it captures, as you've said, an essence of Canada. It's as Matthew said, we're nice, we're kind, but we're not pushovers. And I think some of the old will know that from the Second World War and Vimy Ridge. When Canada's been asked to make a stand, we make great stands. And I think the stance of your vehicle and how well it kind of looks proportionately echoes Vimy Ridge. You know, maybe we need to do some kind of a leather embroidery, hats off, tip off to the those soldiers who gave everything at Vimy, just to kind of, you know, further the conversation. But the rock formations are seen there. You guys looked at polar bears. I completely remember seeing polar bears and your traction vehicle. But and I'm sure the glass and the amount of glass is about the experience that Canada has to offer when you go to places like the Rockies and Banff and Whistler, where you have beauty in a 360 kind of dimension. Any thoughts as you see this gorgeous vehicle doing its turns?
Yeah, actually, that's all those points are exactly what we were thinking about when designing the car. The greenhouse especially, we were looking at, you know, creating a one-tone greenhouse with as much glass as possible so that, yeah, when you're driving through the Rockies, you can just look up and see the massive mountains on top of you. And we also think that it defines freedom quite well, freedom to experience all of Canada, freedom to look anywhere and see anything, you know. And I don't know if you guys want to talk about the stance of the polar bear too. I don't want to eat up the whole conversation.
Do you want to talk about it, Junior?
You can go ahead. It's fine.
Look at that. The nice Canadians on the on the call right
I'll add on if
Polite.
there's anything else. I'll add on if there's anything else later.
Yeah. So overall, the stance, it was mainly driven by the fact that this car is a zero emissions vehicle. And kind of, it was linked to the idea of making it a very open and free experience from inside of the vehicle. And so you'll notice like there are very short overhangs at the front and the back of the car compared to a normal combustion engine vehicle where there's an engine. But we also looked at the polar bear to kind of create a stance that felt strong and stable. And so if you look at the kind of shoulder line of the car, something we call it like a thunderbolt shoulder line, where it's kind of like a zigzag shape. It's a very similar shape to the haunches of a polar bear. And it also kind of evokes those feelings of rocks. I'm not sure. Do you have anything to add, Jun?
Also, like another thing we did is that a lot of cars, when they take inspiration, they just see like a one aspects of it, right? Like shark or like a pebbles. So it's like completely smooth all the way. But our theme was nature. So when we took like a shifting rocks, like we captured the sharpness of rock, but also the roundness of like a aged rock. So if you look at the side character view, there's like a sharp character lines starting at the bottom, like near the front bottom, and then at the back it's like smoothed out and then becomes like it's more smooth than sharp. So we try to incorporate every aspects of natures into it, not just like one specific point.
Well, you know, phase 2 is the design, engineering, technology development portion of the project, and you know, let me tell you that amount of glass is going to give me many sleepless nights to try and see how we build it in. But it's been I think how you've captured it, your proportions, the look, the feel, even the graphic imagery that we're seeing on the screen here, where you know, the northern lights and snow and glaciers versus seeing it in a cityscape. You know, it seems like it fits, and it is a vehicle for all of Canada. And I think that was one of the aims. And you know, I really want to congratulate you all, 4 of you. When I reviewed the design brief and when I reviewed it again just a few weeks ago, you know, it really blew my mind how well you had answered all the aspects of that design brief. And I will finish off with the same comment that was made by a group of the judging panel, which is, you know, this is going to be easy to manufacture. Or it already looks like it's ready to be manufactured. And the next stage will show that. You will be, I'm pretty sure, excited to know some of the partnerships that will be announced on Tuesday. So with that, I want to say a big thank you to June, Kai, Mina, and Matthew. Thank you very much for being a part of this. Your T-shirts are in the mail, as they say, and we look forward to a continued partnership. I'm sure the APMA and my colleagues, we're going to be trying to find some kind of advisory options and responsibilities for all four of you to keep involved in the project as it goes through from 2020 through to 2022. So look forward to touching base with all of you again. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Colin.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.